Hi everyone, welcome back to Online Biz. This is Ruth, and today I want to talk to you about how I actually became a SaaS founder and how we started our SaaS. And this is going to be my own personal point of view, and Eric will film his own point of view because each of us have a different story of entrepreneurship and how we got started. We talked a lot about how we started Reconvert and our other apps and created a company that makes enough money to not only pay our salary but also pay our employees' salary. And while we've spoken about it a lot, I don't think I've ever talked about my own personal journey inside of that and how I actually built my skill set and my mindset to a place where I can manage a company like that. This is something we continuously have to work at to improve our capabilities, our management styles, and basically allow ourselves to improve so that we can actually take the business to the next level, because if we don't, then the business doesn't. And just to kick this off and get started, I want to be fully transparent here and say that while I've always wanted to create my own business and I always had these ideas on how to do more and how to be financially independent and do something that I'm truly passionate about, I never really had the confidence and I never really felt like I was capable of doing something like that. For years, I felt like other people that I was watching on YouTube had these amazing lifestyles and these amazing capabilities in life and traits that allow them to be business owners. And I really wanted to be one of them. I really wanted to think about something that would allow me to create my own business, but I always felt very incapable and very overwhelmed by everything. I saw the idea of creating a business as something that required a whole lot of networking, which I am not good at, that required a lot of politics, which again, I am not good at, and that would require a lot of investment and planning and a whole lot of logistics that I just didn't know how to get started with. The way that we got started is just by simplifying everything. So let's rewind back to the beginning. When I was in my early 20s and late 20s actually, I served in the military as an IT manager. I started off as an IT manager and then I became an officer and had my own team that I managed. I did some IT management and some project management, even a little bit of software projects, just tiny, a little project. And to be honest, I was not very good at it. I tried my best, but the organization was just not right for me. The organization was big and very political. You know, if you've ever worked in corporate, you know the pain points of working in such an organization. You kind of have to continuously market yourself. You have to always play the game to stay in the game and to get anything done. And I just became very frustrated. It really lowered my confidence in anything that I could do. I felt like I was failing on a daily basis. It was just bad, to be honest, very bad. And I had this idea in my head that once I left the military and started off in a civilian company working in high tech, this will all be solved. I would find a new job, I would love it, it would be a different environment, blah, 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 a bunch of stories that I told myself in my head. The thing that actually happened was that I left the military and then I found a job in a really nice company. Like, it wasn't the most technology forward or anything like that, but it was built out of amazing people. Like, there were incredible people there that I really liked. And the whole political problem that I had with the military just didn't exist there. I mean, I'm sure there was some organization politics, but I was not exposed to them. I didn't feel them. I just worked with people that I liked. I did a lot of project management there and a little bit of very, very basic IT, like very basic, nothing advanced. And I was still unhappy. Like, it wasn't that the projects were boring. I actually took part in really interesting projects. I got to fly from work twice, which is incredible. Like I enjoyed it, it's fun. But I did not enjoy my work. I felt frustrated. I felt even a little bit depressed and lonely. I was completely lost. Have you ever felt lost in a job where you just couldn't find the end of? You were not happy even though you were supposed to be, and nothing would change that? Let me know in the comments. I would really love to hear your experiences if you've ever felt like that. But for me, I felt like nothing was good enough. Nothing that I would do would make me happy. And I was, I think, 27 back then. And I was like, okay, so what do I do? Should I go learn something? Should I go, have a degree in something that is not related to technology or high tech? Is this not my field? Will I forever be miserable here? It was a lot. I was also living away from family and I couldn't see my parents a lot. And then I decided to quit and take some time off. Go back, move in with my parents. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move in with them for 6 months, probably maybe learn code, become a junior developer, and try to find a job working in that. Like I had enough experience in development and in high tech to probably find a job without a degree, as long as I actually learn to code again, because it's been years since I've done that. So that was the original plan. My parents were not very happy about it. They tried to convince me to stay or at least find a different job before I quit, because in their eyes, this was high tech. I was making a bigger salary than they could dream of when they were my age, and they felt like I was making a huge mistake throwing it all away. And I can understand their fear, but the way I saw it, the worst case scenario would be that I would just find another job that is exactly like the one I was living. So fast forward, I was quitting my job, going back home, planning all of these plans, but instead of actually signing up to the coding course that I wanted to take, my cousin reached out and had this idea for an online store. She wanted to create a niche online store for a very specific niche that she was a part of, I was not, and we would do dropshipping with local suppliers. So we would basically reach out to local suppliers who were only selling physically in their stores, give them the opportunity to sell on our online store, and we would get a cut of the profits, like any dropshipping. We would take care of shipping and customer services and all of that, and they would take care of the technical customer service if there's an issue with the product and on the actual production line and supply. Sounds good in theory. It was actually a very interesting experience. We started our store. We worked on it for about 8 months, and it was a very steep learning curve. We learned all about Shopify and e-commerce, about marketing, about how to think about marketing, customer service, all of the things that I had maybe a small touch of in the past. We had to learn very fast. And the store was making money. It was making money and paying for itself. But after about 8 months, I looked to the future and I saw 2 main issues. The first being, I saw this store as something that would maybe make an actual livable salary for me in a few years, unless we changed something drastically, which we were both not really prepared to do because of different issues. I'm not gonna get into that now, but we were both not prepared to do that. And the other thing is that I had a really big issue with the niche. I did not connect with this audience. In fact, I had some issues with the audience and their set of values, and it was just becoming, again, something that I was not enjoying doing. And we decided, my cousin and I, to split ways and stop this project, and she took it and ran with it, and I went on another direction. And this is how we got to where we are today. I know this was a long intro. I hope you guys were not bored and you're still with me, because now is the interesting part. I think the rest was really interesting too, because I think it's important to know that people who succeed in business are not always these kind of, I was selling lemonades when I was a baby and I was an entrepreneur since I was born. Not all of us are like that. You can succeed even if for years you felt like you can't possibly do that. If you are currently feeling like you could never do something like that, you can if you decide that you want to. You can become the person who takes charge and is an entrepreneur, even if you are not right now. And I really want to drive in this message because for years I would listen to people who talk about their success in business and how successful they've always been and how their mindset was always, I will succeed, I am an entrepreneur, no one can tell me what to do. I was not that. I was a conformist. I worked in the military for almost a decade. And after that, I just did whatever was required of me for years. So if you are like me, don't discourage. You can still become an independent entrepreneur if you wanted to. So the store was not a great success and didn't work out. You could even say failed. And we are actually filming today a video about failing, which I definitely think you should watch if you're watching this video. Don't know which one of them would come up first, but just stay tuned. So you could say this failed. And I realized e-commerce is such a complex business. There are a lot of business models around e-commerce, but it's a lot and it's very interesting. And I kind of fell in love with the niche of e-commerce, both because it was such a big niche with so many different aspects to it and growing by the day and by the minute, and because I like shopping and I like shopping online. So I got I felt connected to it personally. And my brother Eric, who, as I said, will be filming a video like this separately, was already the owner of a Shopify Plus store. And we both had these ideas of building one day a Shopify app. And they were far-fetched ideas. One day we'll learn how to code and we'll do that. And then Eric met up with the guys at Lux, who are also a Shopify app. We've mentioned that before in the channel. And he came back with stars in his eyes and he was like, okay, we should definitely get into Shopify apps right now. So that's what we did. We didn't know how to code. We didn't have a lot of money and we were not sure how to start. It was new to us, but we went for it anyway. How did we solve these issues of not knowing how to code, not being technical people, etc.? We first of all hired some people off of Upwork, and we did hire people who live in countries where the wage is lower, so we could pay them less. It would still be fair to them. They would still be making enough money to live very comfortably in their country, but we would not pay a whole lot of money that we didn't have. We took loans from credit cards, from the bank, from our parents, and we just did whatever we needed to do. Now, again, we were both single, young people, no family to take care of, so it is very easy to say just take loans and everything will be okay. No, you have to be responsible with your money. But we both knew that worst case scenario, we lost the money, we would just go and work whatever job we needed to make more money. It wouldn't make us homeless, it wouldn't send us to the street. I think we spent around 20 or 30K on the initial development of Reconvert, and before we developed Reconvert, we actually created another app. Its name is Shipping Tags, and the idea was we'll create something simpler just to prove to ourselves that we can. To be honest, Shipping Tags turned out to be technically much more complex than Reconvert, but we didn't know that when we first got started. So we created Reconvert, we created a very lean version of it, released it, and from then on, we focused on marketing and on continuously improving the product. It wasn't difficult with Reconvert. It was kind of like an overnight success after months of work, but once we launched the app, it just took off because it was good. So Reconvert was a post-purchase upsell that added upsells post-purchase by editing the Shopify thank you page. It was a thank you page builder and a post-purchase upsell. And the reason we succeeded fast was not coincidental. It was because we were very familiar with the niche and the needs of merchants, and we did our research. Before we decided to develop Reconvert, we actually had a list of ideas. We still operate that way. We actually have a video talking about how we choose the next idea to work on. We'll link it somewhere up here. And you can get the template of the same file, simple Google Sheets file that we work with on this video. So we had a list of all of our ideas and we would rate them and try to figure out how likely they are to succeed according to different parameters that I discussed in the other video. And we chose Reconvert because it was a kind of a blank area in the store that not a whole lot of apps were operating in, and we saw an opportunity to really provide a lot of value there. And it worked. This initial assessment worked. I can tell you that in other products that we've tried to launch, the initial assessment was maybe a little too optimistic, and we found out that it was a more difficult place to get into. Even then, it is possible. It would just take longer to succeed. So we launched Reconvert. We were doing everything so simple. And this is why I wanted to make this video, because the simplicity that we used to launch our business was the key to its success, if you ask me. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I never felt like I could do something like that. I never felt like I could go and ask for money and raise capital. I never felt like anyone would believe in me enough to invest in me, etc. But then we started working and we knew what to do. We just did the work necessary to make our business a success, and this is exactly how we operate now. We don't look at fancy stuff. We don't look at what we need to look like towards the outside. We look at what we actually need to do, and this is what we focus on. And when you do that, when you break things down to little tasks and focus on these little tasks rather than this scary launch, then you can do it and it's easier. And when the time came to take my very first loan, when we developed Reconvert, and I was like, okay, this is starting to drink all of my money and what if it fails? It was scary. It was very scary. Don't get me wrong. I was doubting myself and I was doubting the idea, even though I believed in it. And that is natural. But if you believe in something enough, then even for these doubts, you know that you will just move forward and you trust yourself enough that no matter what happens, you will deal with it. You will be able to pick yourself up from failure. And now I'm talking a little bit about the things I wanted to talk about in the failure video, so go watch that too. I think this is pretty much the story of how I became a SaaS founder. I learned everything along the way. I learned how to write a PRD and how to manage developers and how to test new features, everything as we went along. And I'm still learning every day how to do different things. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, is that even if you feel like you don't have skill set, even if you feel like you are not the right person, but you do have this fire in you and this desire to do something in you, then go ahead and do it. And it doesn't have to be SaaS, it can be any business, it can be anything in life that you want to do. Break it down to simple steps that are not as scary and move forward. You can do that. You will become the person you need to do if you do the work. I hope this was interesting. It's a little different than the more practical tips that we usually give on this channel. If you liked it, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, also let me know in the comments, but make it productive and let me know what you would like to see here if you do. So this is it for this video. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the like button to help us with the YouTube algorithm. We need the help, and we will see you in the next video.